San Diego. We are going to take you on a tour of the Gaslamp. Actually, we're going to do this in two parts. So today we're going to do half of kind of what we want to show off in the Gaslamp there, so people that are coming out to Comic-Con 2025 have a better idea of some of the things that are new that have opened, some of the things that maybe have closed, some spots to eat at, things like that. But before we make our way into the Gaslamp, normally this one we already start over by the historic signs there. We want to flip things around here just because the convention center is looking so nice with those with those banners up there. So Tron Ares going down the way there. So getting all dressed up for Comic-Con. Hello there. Seeing people joining in there. Chad, Alejandro, hello. Good to see you guys. All right, so we've got just a little look there, and now we are gonna make our way to the Gaslamp proper so we can start showing you some things. So all sorts of Comic-Con views, only limited with the actual Comic-Con branding on them so far, but obviously those that have been to Comic-Con before that watch this video or this stream will be very familiar with some of this and looking back on history. Thank you for joining in on that tradition. We have a lot of people that tell us that, and that's really very, very cool. It's always neat to see that people kind of associate watching these things. Hello, Mike. Associate these with kind of their Comic-Con traditions. So definitely fuel to do this sort of stuff. So we've got our spot over here, of course, new to Comic-Con recently last year with the Jumbotron there. And the blank slate that we would imagine we'll have a nice big wrap there, not too far off in the future here. So far, a lot of this looking very similar. We're actually today out here also doing a video on kind of some quick eat options this year, making our way through and finding a few new spots and hitting on a few classics as well. And we'll talk about maybe a couple of those as we take this little tour today. So Hard Rock, you still got your Starbucks, Mary Jane's. Mary Jane's, once again, very limited hours right now. In fact, several places on the walk have maintained very limited hours since the pandemic. We talked about this back at the 100th Days to Comic-Con with our Parks and Cons crew over on Patreon. But the Turkish ice cream and desserts, still no signs of it actually being there. We actually have seen people here in like business suits opening up the doors and going inside over the last couple weeks, but not open, and not sure when they will be open or if they'll be open in time. Old Spaghetti Factory, favorite for us, I know. This one, still an open spot there, so available for use. The Escape game returning this year. Definitely a place we enjoyed quite a bit when we did a visit there. All right, so Houston Hot Chicken. We actually got a bite there earlier. I'm going to include it in our Quick Eats video this year. They have quite a few different options in terms of heat on the various sauces they offer. A lot of chicken tenders, sandwiches, nuggets, all sorts of things. Very nice spot, really nice staff. It was a little weird. They were all out of all sauces except for the most spicy today. So that was a little odd. But it took a little bit longer, but eventually they got there. So what we're going to do today is we're going to come up Fifth, talk about this. We're going to make the left and come back up towards Hilton Bayfront then. So we'll kind of do like almost a circle there. And then we'll do another one of these in, I don't know, a couple weeks. And we'll do the rest of Fifth past Island. And then we'll come back on 6th. And that way we get kind of a full look at the entire area and kind of what's new and what's going on. We talked about this one last year. It was new Hasta Mañana Cantina. We really liked them quite a bit, or have liked them. Really good, like quesadillas, nachos, and all things considered in this area, really pretty good prices. And so we were pretty impressed with them. Very good service, all of that as well. Union Kitchen, it's been a long time since we've been there, but we did enjoy it in the past. And then Rockin' Baja, as we had last year, moved a door down. Now you'll notice the differences in terms of not seeing as much of the seating out here into the streets, right? Off that side, you see it extends. But during the pandemic, we had so many of these spots that extended out, and it seemed like that was going to be the thing. And this was going to kind of become a whole thoroughfare here and more seating. But that's kind of disappeared, and a lot of them have shrunk back. Of course, you still have a few places with like little spots out front, but definitely less each year since the reopening. Happy Does, soon to become the Lodge. Paramount Plus returns. It's been very nice having them as part of Comic-Con. Definitely not here as long as something like FX, but it's nice whenever you get something consistent that just becomes part of like Comic-Con traditions. So we'll be keeping an eye on this spot and trying to bring you pictures as we see things open up there. Before we get to the Pendry, also want to note Sevilla's. Really great food there. A bit more on the pricier side than a lot of the spots here. Definitely much more of kind of a nightclub vibe to it. So if you're looking for more of that type of a setting, that could be your spot. Pendry, seems inevitable that it would be Daryl Dixon, right? With recent Walking Dead universe happenings. But we'll see. That'll be our starting guest before any of the wraps go up there. So we're at. Now on this side we've got Huntress, which has been really vacant, but they've got still the booths out. So we're not like, I mean, it's pretty well like gutted, but we have seen staff over here and the kitchens going. So I don't know if it's just like nighttime only and they just don't have anything out in the daytimes, but it was active, I want to say a few months back, like maybe in April when we were out here. Now, before we go any further, just to note, more Comic-Con banners there. So those banners, as well as the Tron Ares ones, they're running parallel. So here they're on J, but on 5th itself, not yet. We still have the Padres and the Estrella Jalisco going there. And then remember, for those longtime Comic-Con fans, Esri always comes in these days a week before, which is a really big mapping convention. Massive money type convention, and they do a lot of their own banners. They do a lot of wraps, and so it'll hold up some of the Comic-Con stuff with them doing all of their stuff. So it's always interesting to see them kind of getting their stuff ready. And in those days, it's always like, is it for Comic-Con? Is it for Esri? And it's a lot of it is for Esri these days. So real quick, down here on J, they much followed along with Buca di Beppo has opened. It's in a bit of a tough location down there. We'll come by and check it out as we come back down 4th Street there. There's a couple good food spots there, not too far from Buca di Beppo, but it's obviously not on the main walk here. So they may have sign throwers or other things out to get that attention. CVS, of course, always a pretty good stop if you need to pick up sodas or waters or things like that. Definitely not going to be quite as cheap as going out on the outskirts of the Gaslamp, but also a lot better than a lot of the hotel offering prices and things like that. Got our souvenir shops. That's the Gaslamp. It's Sugar is up here and still functional as well. Selling lots of candy. We won't go out to Ghirardelli today, but that is also fully going. We'll include that in the next one of these that we do. Provisional Kitchen Cafe Mercantile, still a go at Pendry. And then over here, there's the little crepe gelato espresso spot there. We've never been there, but we have heard a few good things about it. We debated on including it in our video on sweet treats and all of that, but we didn't because we don't really have any experience with them, but something to think on for those. Yeah, so if you comment down It's Sugar, they are fully stocked and ready to go. Quicksilver has disappeared. One less spot open. One more spot open for potential offsite or activations, depending on them. And Skechers still active here as well. So we're going to make the left on Island to continue looking at the Gaslamp. And when we do part 2 of this video, we'll actually begin it here and head down towards Ghirardelli, Prince Street Pizza, and some of those locations. We'll also hit 6th Street. But as we make the left here, a couple notations. I know we shared this on social media recently, but if you were a customer of the Bank of America ATMs, they are gone. I know we were. That brings up the question. I know we saw that a lot on social media, like, do places accept cash? So the convention center will be card only for like snack bar, but many vendors take cash. And honestly, in our experience of conventions, most of the smaller vendors prefer cash. Oftentimes they'll give discounts for cash. Oftentimes they won't charge tax on purchases if cash. So we've always been big proponents of having cash, and so we'll need to plan accordingly and not get that down here in the Gaslamp. I believe the nearest B of A ATM's like about 1.5 miles now. Yeah, something a little bit of ways away. And there are, of course, upcharge ATMs mixed in at some of these establishments where they'll charge, and then the bank will charge as well. So, all right. We've got the Gaslamp Museum. Just wanted to point out, every so often this becomes an activation spot as well that often gets overlooked. There was a really great spot there with Nightmare Before Christmas years ago and stuff. So things kind of get forgotten on this side of the tracks a little bit. And of course, Horton. I mean, here we have the Horton Grand Hotel, but Horton Plaza used to be a really fun kind of part of Comic-Con in a variety of different ways leading up to it. It was one of the spots with FYE and stuff. They'd start getting their exclusives. They would have advertisements out. Of course, Spreckles down there with Conan Con and all of that. And we've really lost that since the pandemic. So it's not been really much on the radar since that time. And we'll see. In fact, I think every time we're in San Diego, we hear people, locals, kind of talking about what's going on with Horton and when are we going to see things kind of changed up there. So we will see. I know we miss it, though. It was definitely part of our stuff. Night Bodega. Miss Conan. Yes, so do we. That was really one of those things that became a consistent for a few years and was just so fantastic to kind of count on. All right, so as we're making our way to 4th and J, we'll take a look at Buca di Beppo, but also wanted to point out 4th and J, the coffee and sandwich shop. Often gets overlooked. We're talking about maybe we're going to include that in our quick eats video. We'll take a look at that. Oh, they said there was a, oh yeah, that there's a B of A, the Manchester Grand Hyatt.
Yeah, that's the closest.
Yeah, there you go. Good call. Thank you. We had talked about that between ourselves last week, and I'd already forgotten that. So yeah, good call. That definitely would be the closest. Yeah, we've not identified it visually, and actually with Bank of America recently, we've gone to a few places where they say there's one and it's no longer there. So we'll investigate. Happiest of hours, weekdays 3 to 6, bar and patio. So yeah, Buca di Beppo is fully open after many years of back and forth on where it would be and what's going on and will they, won't they. They are open and fully active. Although I'll say being down here in the daytime, we've not seen them have a whole lot of customers. So hopefully they hang in there okay. Again, Predator Badlands. It's nice having those. It's interesting already with Predator and Tron Ares that the thing we've seen the last few years, particularly since the pandemic, is what an integral role Disney money plays in San Diego Comic-Con this year's with their work with Fox and Hulu and all their ownership of so many toys. So much of the Gaslamp gets painted up in Disney colors, whether a lot of people realize it's Disney money or not. Far more than D23 sees, actually. No, we've never eaten here. I don't know if anybody in the chat has, but we have heard good things about it. It just has not been on one of our stops, but there's sushi and Chinese. We've heard good things about. Definitely something we should try at some point down here. And if you're watching later in the video, if you want to leave in the comments if you've been there before and enjoy it, please do. All right, so 4th and J. I think a lot of people think they're just a coffee-only shop, but they're actually more than that. They've got a bunch of great breakfast items, including cinnamon roll pancakes for $13, French toast. They do egg bowls. Lots of Sammy's sandwiches in the afternoon, salads. Got a cute dog hanging out inside there, the customer. So they are very limited in their hours, 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. Not sure if that changes for Comic-Con hours. We've never actually gone there during Comic-Con time. So something to keep an eye on if that's part of maybe your walk-in during San Diego days. Or if you're a local, you might want to check it out. But definitely worth keeping an eye on as you're looking for those. As we work on our, quick eats video, as we said last year when we did one, it's always tough because it's all relative to where people are staying or where they are coming in from. So, something at the Bayfront is a great quick eat for people that are maybe in the Hall H area or staying at the Hilton Bayfront but don't really make a whole lot of sense. Maybe for somebody staying at the Hilton Gaslamp. So we try to include in a variety of different locations that hopefully will be of use to people wherever they're coming from to some degree. So a familiar off-site location over there last year was the Pudgy Penguins. It's been the home to a few spots. Over in that area also Conan, previously mentioned when they did the kind of the comedy club thing, not the full Conan show or anything, but that's always one of my favorite places to watch as we watch for activations, because you pretty much figure for sure right in front of us there's going to be an activation. But that's one of those spots over there where it's some years there's something cool, a lot of years there's nothing there. As we're now hitting a corner here right by the Hilton Gaslamp, we do have Fleming's. We've never eaten at this Fleming's before, but I'm sure it's wonderful and great pricey food there. But it's right there. Cena Cafe, we talk about oftentimes. We'll include them once again in our video for quick eats because they're just so solid. Their menu, once again, has great breakfast sandwiches for $7.50. BLTs that are pretty big and shareable for $10.50. They just really offer great deals.
And you can call in your order ahead of time.
Good point. In case you didn't catch that, Carmel, you can also call in your order ahead of time just to pick up. They're always really nice in there. Very clean. So, it doesn't look like a lot on the outside, Cena, but to use definitely a Comic-Con related term, it's got it where it counts, right? It's a really good spot there. And of course, an area that we will expect to see activation territory here. Of course, nothing quite yet. It's also always fun to see what goes on down there. The Peanuts, area. Last year, Planet of the Apes was a lot of fun. What they did with that. Of course, the wraps. This becomes kind of the oxygen of Comic-Con in so many ways, of kind of giving it life before the show starts, those weeks watching for those banners. You can see the Cisco Live was here. All sorts of AI banners and wraps and things like that up from a few weeks ago from their conference, and many of them remain on the tracks still as well. There has been a number of trolley wraps we've been seeing. We know many more are coming. Last week, though, we didn't see any because everything was off this route, but this week we have seen, I'm sorry, today we have seen many with wraps. Not many of them Comic-Con related. I think the only one we saw up close was Demon Slayer when we first arrived here. But in fairness, we haven't been on the tracks the entire time here. While we wait for this next trolley to come and see if there's anything there, the last spot I really wanted to talk on to kind of complete our circle in a lot of ways is the Wild Hare. The Wild Hare, relatively new to the Hilton Gaslamp, located right there on the corner. We actually ended up going there twice during Comic-Con last year and really liked it. The service was good. They had an abbreviated menu, if I recall correctly. Definitely not cheap, also not super expensive. I mean, it wasn't like Fleming's cost or things like that, but it was a spot that really worked pretty well. I don't think we waited long for any of the seats there, so that was nice. It might be a good place, not necessarily quick. There you go. I think that was the one we saw earlier. Yeah, so the Wild Hare, not a place that we would include in the quick eats category because it is a sit-down restaurant. There is servers, you do tip, all of those things. But relative to sit-down locations in the Gaslamp area during Comic-Con, we found them really fast, and that's why we actually did go a second time. The first time we went, it was just kind of like, you know, sometimes you hit the wall at Comic-Con and you need a break and you're depleted, and we see this place and we're like, well, they have open seating, let's head in there. And then it all worked out so well that we actually looped back for a second time, which was really nice. So, all right, so this is going to conclude part one of our Gaslamp tour here for San Diego Comic-Con 2025. As I said, we'll come back in maybe a couple weeks. We're working on some bigger, longer videos the next few times we're down here, but we'll definitely alert everybody, hopefully at least a week ahead of time of the next time we're going to go live for one of these tours, and we'll definitely make sure to have a couple of those things coming up. Also, later on today at 5:30 San Diego time, we will be going live to do our kind of weekly talk show on Comic-Con news, things we found down here, Comic-Con tips, all of that sort of stuff. So thank you so much for joining us, spending a little bit of what might be your lunch or, depending where you are in the world, dinner time with us. We really appreciate it. And wrapping up, until next time, we'll see you in line somewhere.